That one felt good. It was ugly, but that one felt good. 18-16 Cowboys, 6 field goals for Dallas. And really, a lot of tight Cowboys Redskins games are like this. Of course, there's been blowouts in the series, we know that, but a lot of games between these two teams over the years look and feel like that. A lot of field goals, a lot of defense. Um, but of course, the story of the night, like last week, Tony Romo. Last week it was about guts. Last week we saw a guy who didn't want to quit, even when he was hurt. He came in and led the team to victory. This week we saw the leader in Tony Romo, a guy who really went out there with, let's face it, a makeshift offense, an offensive line with a center who doesn't know when to snap the ball, with and other other offensive linemen who had a hard time stopping that Redskins D line, though they protected him well enough, and with a bunch of receivers who either it's their first time to start a game or one of their first. The only experienced guy out there with him was pretty much Jason Witten. And Dez, people forget Dez is still a young guy too. This is his second season. He didn't even finish the whole season last year. And with Dez, it was like Dez would be in the game and make a huge catch because he's an awesome player, and then he'd just be gone. And I mean, a lot of it has to probably do with his, with his injury that he had last week. But he had a big catch today, and once again, Tony found him on a 3rd and 21 that was not caused by Tony Romo, but that he got us out of. But before I go on the Romo tangent, I gotta say the defense was great. The defense for both teams, and I don't want to skimp on the Redskins because the Cowboys kicked 6 field goals and 3 or 4 of them, I know at least 3 of them were in the red zone. So they were being stingy as well. And numbers wise was not a great night offensively for Dallas. But both defenses played great. The Cowboys got that blocked field goal, which ended up being the difference in the game. And most of that was on the Redskins' fault with a fumbled snap, but Cowboys were opportunistic in that instance. So the defense, and I thought Felix Jones ran well. He knows how to find holes, and he's got that speed. I'm really hoping he can stay healthy because you even saw in this game he got shaken up a little bit. But going back to it with Tony Romo, we go back to Week 1, where he has a great ball game, and then he messes up in the fourth quarter, and he has an entire fan base wanting him out. Then last week, you see what happens when he came back. He came back in and won the game for us. Today, he managed this team better than I ever thought anyone could. I mean, he was having to tell receivers what to do after they broke the huddle, and many of those incompletions and miscues in the red zone were based on the fact that the receivers didn't know where to run. The one mainly by Ogletree there. I mean, and the guy has grown. Of course, when he first started, it was about 3 years into his career, 3 or 4 years. But he started that first season, we saw the talent. And a lot of it was just talent from Romo. His mobility, he's able to find, to make something out of nothing, but that caused a lot of picks and a lot of turnovers as well. What you're seeing now is a guy who's still got the talent, but a guy who's banged up. You could tell the ribs were still bothering him. But a guy who's now level-headed and who's focused on an end goal. You could see in his eyes that it mattered to him that he wanted to win. And the fact that we had those miscues, those missed snaps, and with that many snaps like that, that's supposed to be disaster for a team. And each time Romo was able to either make something of it or make where it wasn't that bad. And of course, the 3rd and 21, where you kind of saw a combination of all the things. That play really defines what Tony Romo is and the reason I think he is the guy for this team. Where a big play guy who has a great talent, who can make great decisions and can dig you out of a hole that the team dug for him. Um, this was a great win for the Dallas Cowboys. This was a huge win because if they lost this, the Skins would be 3-0 right now, with 2 division wins, um, and we would have dropped to 1-2, not in a good spot with a division loss. So, ugly game, great game though. If you had a dog in the fight with the Cowboys, next week's gonna be tough too, but once again, this really reaffirms my stance that this is the best guy for this team. And even more so than last week. Last week was a lot of theatrics, a lot of drama and whatnot. This game was hard nosed, being a commander behind center, and really leading a group of misfits, if you want to look at it that way, and lead them to victory in a huge rivalry and a huge division win that needed to happen early in the season. It's only week 3. But the Cowboys are 2-1 with a tie for the division, and it feels good right now. So we'll see you guys later. How about them Cowboys? And Tony Romo did it tonight. See y'all.